Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Hey sports fans, are you ready for an exhilarating gaming experience? Introducing VIPclub.lv, your ultimate online sportsbook and casino. VIPclub.lv offers a vast selection of sports, from football and basketball to tennis and baseball. Bet on your favorite teams and enjoy the thrill of the game. But that's not all. Our state-of-the-art online casino offers a dazzling array of games, including slots, blackjack, roulette, and live dealer tables. Win big with their fantastic promotions, rewards, and exclusive offers. Join VIPclub.lv today and get a generous 200% match welcome bonus to start your winning streak. And make sure to use code ECSI at sign-up. Bet it, win it, and cash it at VIPclub.lv. Visit VIPclub.lv now and play responsibly. VIPclub.lv, your sportsbook and casino extravaganza. Must be 21 or older to play. Please gamble responsibly. Visit gambleware.org for help.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is the final 3 Men in the Box for the NCAA baseball season. But don't fret, these gentlemen will be back in the fall talking some college football and some college hoops and all that good stuff. Shout out to our new sponsor, VIPclub.lv. Always remember to use the ECSI promo code at checkout. Just tell them JD sent you. They'll take care of you from there. Shout out to Ben Cohen, Joseph Shea, Kate Horton, the men behind the glass as we get ready for the show. And blessed and honored to have these two gentlemen, Matt Grissom, Quentin Mills, who've been on for most of this baseball season. Talking college baseball, a sport that obviously I assume if you were watching one game on TV yesterday, it was LSU Wake Forest. It wasn't the NBA draft, trust me. So we're all set for the finale as Florida Gators and LSU will match up this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday if needed. Quentin, who was there on the first weekend, will be back for the second weekend. So without further ado, let's bring in the two stars of the shows, Mr. Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills. Gentlemen, what is happening?
What's going on, Jeff? I'm glad to be back. I felt weird missing last week.
Just living the dream, watching college baseball every day. I'm sure my wife is just loving it.
Well, Q, we were sitting here on Friday, and it was just me and Matt, and, we were following. I know I was, and I know Matt was too, following your timeline. We didn't get a good under-over on the Jell-O shots, but we can get to that in another show if we need be, But anyways, give us the hands-on, at the game. Give us the experience of Omaha last weekend.
Well, first off, Omaha is an incredible city, but what is not incredible is their service. It is horrendous. I was trying to send them stuff, and it wouldn't go through. I mean, when you have nobody there all year and then you got 1 million people show up for 2 weeks, it makes it difficult. So that part was tough to try to tweet stuff out. But outside of that, the Jell-O shot thing is amazing. A lot of people don't realize it's for charity. They donate it to the team who wins the College World Series charity of choice, 50%, and then the other 50% goes to like a local food drive in Omaha. So it's all in good fun. It definitely brings in a couple dollars here and there, and it's a good time. But the game, it's an experience. I was asking Matt up until he canceled his stuff to keep coming out. And even though Arkansas wasn't there, it's to grow the brand. And, you meet so many cool people and just the fan bases and the atmosphere. It's just incredible.
Matt, outside looking in, we talked about Arkansas last weekend. You'll be back. We know you'll be back.
Yeah.
What are you thinking outside looking in as your partner in crime is living the dream as the Gators are still standing and we're here.
I think the biggest takeaway is, for one, getting to watch all the games at home, not having to deal with the weather delays. I'm not going to complain about that as much as I'd love to be out there. I want my team to be out there. But overall, from just watching the games and seeing what we've seen, Florida looks great still on offense, despite the rest of the field with all their power hitters still struggling to hit the ball. And that, I don't know really what to attribute that to, but I guess the better pitching was in that other bracket with LSU. I mean, you had LSU, Tennessee, and then Wake Forest. Quinn Matthews, is not a scrub either. But Florida's still batting well enough. I'm wondering how that'll hold, or if it's LSU's bullpen that we've kind of dogged on all season long, if they've elevated their play. I mean, because it feels like every pitching staff has really elevated from their regular season, like, averages. So is that something, or is it just because they haven't faced elite pitching versus elite batting? And I think we're going to get that here in the National Championship Series in Florida and LSU.
Quentin, we talked backstage to set the stage here. Gators just sitting back and relaxing and having a good time, enjoying watching the LSU Wake Forest 3-game series. We talked about game 2, Wake Forest up 2-0, an opportunity to really step on their necks and pounce on it. Failed to. In comes LSU to tie it 2-2, and everyone's looking around. At least I was, and I assume you guys. When you go into the pen here, boss, and 2 pitches later, it's 5-2, and thanks for playing, which set up yesterday's dramatic. If you hadn't seen Paul Skeens, God bless you. I mean, just if he's not the number one pick like Wembayamba, like Bedard, shame on, was it the Pirates, I think, that have the number 1 pick? Shame on you guys. But set the stage last night before the game started. Being a Gator fan, a Gator backer, who were you rooting for?
Financially, it was Wake Forest because I'm sitting on futures. But as a fan, I mean, you got to roll your dice against LSU. I think you got to look at all the season overall. They had the best opportunity to lose to Florida. If we're strictly going on numbers, Wake Forest had the elite pitching all season long. I don't know if Florida could have handled that. Florida's pitchers sometimes do give up some runs, so I think that could have been maybe a difference maker. If LSU wins it, tip their cap. You're facing a gauntlet offense, but statistically, the bullpen hasn't been there for LSU all season long. Now, it's shown up in the last 3 to 4 weeks, but again, if you got to pick one of those 2 teams, I think you got to take LSU into the matchup and try to win it there, because I just think it would have been too tough to continue to contain Wake's offense that had no-showed the entire tournament, on top of their elite pitching that, in my opinion, outside of that game 2, I mean, they pitched very, very well. Even in that game, their offense failed them. There was no reason they lost any games, quite frankly, because the pitching kept them in every single game. So I was rooting for Florida to face LSU as a fan, but financially, Wake Forest would have been nice.
It's amazing. We go way back to the preseason, how they do it. Vegas, LSU preseason number 1. It doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. Now we got a 3-game set here starting on Saturday. I know you guys will have all the numbers, will be doing all the work, obviously, for that. Matt, does the rest help Florida, or is the momentum with LSU where they could be real sneaky here?
I think the rest helped Florida's pitching. I don't think it really matters in hitting. I mean, Florida just played Wednesday, so you're only talking an extra day of rest as far as the bats go. I think the biggest thing is pitching, though. You've got Florida, who just threw Cags on Wednesday, and he could essentially go Monday. So almost your typical day's rest. Sproat, Waldrop, they're going to start Saturday, Sunday. I mean, Florida's got their normal rotation on pretty much the same rest that they had all season long. So I think that's a huge advantage. Now, Ty Floyd, he went Tuesday? Q?
Yeah.
Is that
I
right?
think 5 2/3 or 6.
Yeah, so he's going to be fine to go game 1. But Paul Skeens, you're looking at that wondering, okay, if they get to a game 3, Skeens is probably going to go. But that, I think, is the earliest he can go because he pitched over 100 pitches. And I think that's an NCAA rule.
Yeah, I think it's 110. You got to sit mandatory 3 days.
Yeah. So if Skeens isn't available, I think Florida has a huge advantage when it comes to resting. Now, I've had some blowback on that with people arguing with me on Twitter, but it's not the team rest, it's pitching. It is strictly on, which, we've talked about it all season long. We anchor our handicap around the starting pitcher. That's why it's so important to wait to see who is pitching. But at the end of the day, if you're going to give me a team that has normal rest for their starting 3 guys versus a team that has had to kind of mix and match their way through the losers bracket, playing extra games, absolutely give me the team with more rest. Especially in a park that's playing like it's 500 feet right now.
It is. That's center field. I mean, the ball coming off the bat, and I'm like, oh my God, that's gone. And then it's, 75 feet from the warning track. I mean, the center field is just coming in. I mean, it looks like the Polo Grounds.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just saw a tweet a little bit ago about the shadows. Like Jick Jack Johnson down at Beau Rivage, he said, this may be contribution to why every game's gone under too. You look at the shadows on home plate. When that ball comes in, you see it sunlight, and then it goes into a shadow, and you lose it. I mean, how in the world they're even hitting what they're hitting right now is shocking to me. But I mean, you saw it last night, Wake Forest, and the night before. Wake Forest came in batting over 1,000 OPS. They were 584 in Omaha. And I don't think it's because they lost 35 feet on the sides from their shoebox stadium and the couch. I think it was just the fact that they were not ready to hit some of the nation's best pitchers and that they couldn't see the ball. I mean, you saw it in the outfield with Wake Forest. He just lost the ball. And I know Q's got some discussion about the sunglasses thing that he kind of went in on, but they never looked comfortable. They never played Wake Forest baseball, and I think that's what eventually caught up to them.
Yeah, I mean, go back when you talk about those shadows. Back in the day, when the Sox would start around 4:00, and you get those shadows around 5:30, and if you're facing a Chris Sale, if you're facing a Pedro Martinez, you do lose the ball, and it's just lights out. And I'm glad you brought up the totals. I mean, it's been an unders dream. Obviously, I'm seeing overnight numbers 11.5, 12, and then by the corrected number of 9.5 by the morning. And still, I mean, trying to figure out how it's going to go over, and it's just not going over.
Well, it's funny. Matt was texting, and it got down to over 1.5 last night. Obviously it was 0-0, and he's like, should I just take the over at plus money just to say I've done that, because it's just purely chaotic that we're going to look at a line like this. And obviously a game can't be 0.5. I joke. I said, I don't even think it's getting over 0.5. They're going to figure out a way to keep this a tie. And it's just crazy with the overs. But with the sunglasses thing, I kind of want to throw it out there. Like, sometimes they don't help. Each player's different. Each eye is different. A lot of teams aren't used to playing in a stadium that big in terms of like the behind home plate, the stands, right? It creates more shadowing. They're used to a single deck field where the sun's coming right over the top. They're not used to that extra shadow for the first, 4 innings. So that's tough. And then the outfield, again, so that ball, Omaha is different, right? We have clouds where we live. There, very few places have no clouds in the sky. And when you're in Omaha, there's many days and many hours that there's no clouds. And that little white ball gets lost up there very, very easily. Once you hit it essentially above the decking of the stadium and above the lights, it's hard to see. I mean, you're losing it for a split second, and then it's coming back down, and you have to retrack it. Then you throw in the sun on that. Like, the guy's a good ball player. He starts left field for Wake Forest, and even Chris Burke and those guys should understand that. And it's crazy that they're kind of taking on the sunglasses now. Kyle Peterson never played the outfield, so I get it. But a lot of guys, some choose not to wear sunglasses because it distorts the coloration of the ball. Everything's darker. It makes it harder to find. So I don't want to throw that as being the sole reason, like, hey, this guy should have called the ball. There's so many different things that play into that. I think it's a cheap excuse to sit there and say, he didn't wear sunglasses, so he dropped it. But I took a lot of issue to that from a former left fielder and center fielder. So I feel bad for the kid. He's taking flack, but hey, he's got to do and wear what works for him.
Matt, what is the times for Saturday, Sunday, and if Monday? I assume Monday obviously will be a night game. Are they playing night games Saturday and Sunday?
Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. Central. We've got a line out for that. The total we've been talking about is set at 10, which I was telling Q on our show. It's kind of surprising that this total is higher than what LSU and Paul Skeens, Rhett Lauder, that was on the open. I don't know when this line got posted, so it may have opened higher than that, but I think it's kind of funny. 10 we're getting with Brandon Sproat, who's averaging like 3 runs a game, and then Ty Floyd, who is like 3.5 runs a game, and you're going to hang the total lower than what it was with Rhett Lauder and Paul Skeens. Florida is a slight favorite. I think Sunday, that game is at night too, isn't it, Q?
No, it should be 3 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, okay. And then Monday, it'll be Monday night.
Yep. I'll be attending game 2. I'm not able to attend game 1.
When you flying out, Q?
First thing Sunday morning. The wife's got a big Dave Matthews concert, and I told Matt I might be divorced if I took that from her and said, by the way, I'm going to Omaha. Can't go to your concert. So got to play a little fairness. But I'll be watching, obviously.
All right. Well, I got to put my cards on the table here for everyone watching and listening. Again, these guys are the experts. I just read the market. That's all I do. Very, very surprised at Florida opening up only -120. I thought with their pitch and rotation setup versus the grueling 3 series LSU Wake Forest just went through, with the fact that the only if Paul Skeens can pitch would be on Monday night, and how long, I thought that number might be 130, 135, maybe a little higher, looking to extract some LSU money to at least say it's a live dog. Let's see what we can get. Can we get to Monday? The numbers at 120 to me is, as a lot of people on social media last night, hey, let me get Florida now because this number is going to climb. Q, surprised with the -120. Did you think it was a fair number, or did you think it would be lower or higher?
I think it might have been slightly higher Florida because of what you said, but I think they're paying homage to LSU's path. They knew that was the tougher side of the bracket. I think the people may have been watching because it's the final 8 teams and their bullpens really stepped up. And again, they have one of the best offenses in the country. So I think that probably played a role. I can't speak on that just because I don't know for a fact, but I will say this. If you think Florida's going to win, they're probably going to be favored in every game. So you have to be sharp on your lines because the price is going to get driven up. If you think LSU is going to win, take them on the +1.5, because I think every game is going to be between 1 to 2 runs. And then I also think you take the better line on a game-by-game basis. If I'm being honest, I think, it's probably going to go 3, so you're going to lose 1. I don't see it being a sweep, but I think you're going to get maybe some plus money eventually and hold out for that number if you're an LSU fan. But I love the +1.5. I think it's worth every juice that you can squeeze out on it.
Matt?
I don't know. I've got that 11-1 futures ticket that Q talked me into, so thank you. I've got $200 to win $2,200. I think I think you could. I mean, it would be like a pseudo hedge if I took LSU every game plus 1.5. I don't like laying the 180 juice just because these games happen so tight. You could probably get it in game better but that requires your team that you want to bet on to let the other team score first to get anything better than that. But as you saw last night, the run line doesn't always mean you can win when it's a tight game with the 2-run shot. So at this point, I'm not doing anything. I may bet LSU if I could get Florida to get off to a hot start and get like a plus 1.5 at even money or a plus 2.5, minus 140, minus 150. I think that would be a play. I don't think Q's wrong in saying that I think both teams are going to play this very tightly. That being said, if we're leaning more towards this could be an over game or a 6-4, 6-5 type game, that 1.5 run line kind of starts to worry me, especially because I'm of the belief that LSU, their bullpen has been pitching well, but they're going to eventually regress to the mean. And I don't want to be holding a minus 180 ticket at the moment that Florida hits a 3-run grand slam or a 3-run home run or a 4-run grand slam to put me out of my misery with that ticket trying to hedge off Florida.
Jeff, I think we should just ask Matt real quick, like, give me the different points of the bullpens that you're looking at. Because I know the starters have a big thing to do with it, but once you start getting into that 7, 8, 9 innings, I mean, bullpens really do matter. So I think that's at least worth getting your opinion on that, Matt.
So the stats through the College World Series, the postseason stats for Florida's bullpen right now, starting pitching is averaging a 2.44 ERA. That is a 4.07 from Sproat, a 1.69 from Waldrop, and a 1.42 for Cags. The bullpen is a 3.21 average through the postseason. If you go over to LSU, outside of Paul Skeens, who has a 1.50 through the postseason, you've got Ty Floyd at a 3.86. And then I don't know who starts after Floyd in that game too.
I would say
their bullpen,
Cooper.
Ackenhausen, if he goes again, sure. I mean, you could make the case for pretty much anybody, Ackenhausen, Cooper. But their bullpen has a 4.13 ERA. So you're basically giving up an extra run out of your bullpen than Florida at this point. And the pitching is good between Floyd and Skeens, but in a 3-game series and you don't get Skeens till the last one, I just really don't like LSU's chances. I mean, you're going to have them replicate their performance that they did against Wake Forest, who, keep in mind, had a 5.84 OPS. Now you jump up to an 8+ OPS in Florida. I think they're going to not have the problems that Wake Forest did scoring runs. And so now you're going to pair, all right, we're facing a better offense. Our guys played out of their minds last week. Can they do that again? And I've got to die on this hill at this point and say that LSU, despite making it to the national championship, which I didn't think they'd do, their bullpen is going to cost them a championship. At this point, I've said it too many times to backtrack, but yes, they've played well. Would it surprise me if LSU wins? No, they're minus 110 to do so. But again, I just think Florida is too dominant. And the bullpen, the bats, and the starting pitching is not that far from outside of Sproat's 4.07 ERA, which looks bad, but in all reality, it's not that bad because he has been dominant as of late. I just think Florida is the better side here, and I'm surprised that it's not more like Florida minus 140, 150.
Q?
Yeah, I think he hit it on the head. I think because of the two bullpens, now Florida had a shaky one to start, but they cleaned it up late April, pretty much after the South Carolina series. So they've shown 2 solid months of steady elite, outings. This LSU team even struggled as early, as most recently as the SEC tournament, which was roughly 4 weeks ago. So I think it's worth mentioning, and when I say they're struggling, they've picked it up really well, and they could easily stay on that run and beat Florida in 2 or 3 games, and nobody would be surprised, because they've done well over the past month. But the sample size, to me, again, we have to go on numbers. That's why we're, successful the whole season, because we've stuck to that plan. The bullpens do matter, and I think Florida's ability to have the better bullpen, whether it's a short inning or, if it's a bullpen game, is going to play a big factor in this, knowing Skeens is out, knowing Ty Floyd can potentially get hit for LSU. Those guys have to pitch innings that they really haven't done all year. They've been pitching 1 or 2 innings here and there, and they've run their bullpen, 8, 9 deep, it seems like. Now they're expecting 2, 3 guys to pitch every day for 3 to 5 innings. I think it's worth noting here. Do they run out of the gas? And I brought up a good point, Matt, or Jeff and Matt on our show, was teams that stay on a game-to-game day, schedule. Hey, we play in 12 hours. Hey, we play in 18 hours. You keep that mental mindset of focus and grinding. When you get a day off like LSU has after a grueling big couple games against Wake Forest, at what point do they start to kind of slow down and then have to pick back up and refocus? Like, Florida's had the ability to have an off day. I think they went to the zoo, and then now they have a day to say, okay, you've got your body rested. We gave you yesterday off. Now let's refocus. LSU has to figure out how to wind down from what they just had to endure. One of the best games that we've seen in the history of College World Series, to now, hey, you got a day off, but you got to keep that mentality while you're in the hotel room. I think that's very, very tough on these young kids. It's that extra rest, I think, plays mentally better as well, or LSU would have benefited if they're playing today because they're in that grind. They're on that roll, that adrenaline. Now they lose that. They got to regain that. And I think that's going to play a factor in this as well.
It's funny. We've done some football shows. I do a weekly show with Julian Edlow at DraftKings. He always says, he's putting these crazy parlays together. When I think of those crazy national championship or championship parlays, obviously think of the Circa and Mr. Benson. And the light bulb just went on as you two were talking. Wonder if I reached out to them, what would they give us for an LSU baseball championship with an LSU football championship? Because I'm hearing a lot of talk down in Baton Rouge that they might have the team this year to knock off Georgia and Bama.
It's not a bad call.
LSU football. Jaden Daniels still the quarterback? Arizona State transfer?
I think
yes.
He is.
Yeah.
It's too early. I know, Matt. I know. I'm not asking for you guys' football SEC, notebooks yet because you've been too entrenched in the baseball. So after this weekend, we'll give you a few days, maybe a week or two. We'll let you get through July 4th.
Plus 600 plus, something in that range.
Actually, let me just play the game for 1 second here, gentlemen, and let me just see if Mr. Benson has. Monkey.
Yeah, I would think it's above 6. I mean, they're at minus 110 to win it now, and then the football is probably going to be under 10 to 1 to start the season.
They're 16 to 1 right now.
I mean, they're that high. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably talking plus 2,000 plus.
I didn't realize they were that high. Yeah, if you're in that range, oh yeah.
Wow, he's got them that high, huh? I guess. I mean, when you got a schedule like Georgia does, I can see it, So, HIJK, where are you?
That'd be interesting. It's not going to happen. It'd be interesting.
1150 on the app right now at Circa.
Okay.
Where'd you get that
on
number?
LSU? Man? Wow. DraftKings says LSU 16-1.
If you're an LSU fan,
let's go shop at DraftKings.
Yeah, there you go. If you're in Vegas, drive to the Hoover Dam.
I know it's going to be an exciting weekend for both of you. Quentin, we obviously want to make sure, send a lot of pictures. I'll be following your timeline. It's been a great journey having you both here all season. Look forward to the fall. Look forward to college football, college basketball, and it'll be nice to talk to you two as we're getting ready for some preseason baseball next year, because it'll allow me to lengthen my portfolio to get in on hopefully some good prices and stuff like that. Before we close, as we always close, I like to tell everyone where they can find your work. The scroll has been going the whole time. Follow Matt at Grissom Tweets, NCAA Insiders, Quentin Mills at Q Millie, at Notebook Wager 1. Matt, start it off. Where can they find all your good stuff?
NCAAinsiders.com. That's the website. It'll take you to our Linktree page. You can find all of our guides from there, bet tracker, everything like that. Follow me on Twitter at Grissom Tweets, and on NCAA Insiders on Twitter as well.
Q.
I got 2 quick nuggets. If it's the 5th inning or later and I'm saying Florida's going to lose, just let me do my thing. It's calculated. And in 2017, these two teams matched up. Florida actually knocked off TCU that same year in the semis, which they've done this year. LSU came out of the losers bracket to beat the number 1 overall seed, which they've done this year. The Gators won the College World Series final against LSU 2-0. Take that for what it's worth. I'm a superstitious guy. Some aren't, so we'll see. But you can find me at NCAA Insiders. Like Matt said, you can find us, NCAAinsiders.com with all of our tracked bets, all of our futures, all of our College World Series guide notes, and then obviously at Notebook Wagering with Smitty Bucks, if you know Matt, and Notebook Wagering J Cam. So those guys are also solid, and Matt and I will be tweeting all the time.
And
history has a way of repeating itself, Q.
That's
and
it.
Q, you are the champ.
What's that?
Q, you are the champ of the reverse curse. You just I've never seen it work better. He is the master of that. And
calculated. If Florida
calculated.
wins, I deserve a win.
No doubt. History does repeat itself.
He scared me, though, when he tried the reverse jinx. I think it was Wake Forest and LSU's first game, where Wake Forest ended up winning 3-2. But I was like, no. You can't reverse jinx it when you feel like what you're stating is actually the right thing. I think he said something like Wake Forest bullpen is going to cost us da-da-da-da-da. I was like, no. Their bullpen actually is good. You have to say things that aren't true and over-exaggerated.
It was offense. You told me it was too early.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think I did it as early as the 4th, Jeff. Listen, I had to go to the pen early. I mean, we had to grind it out. Yep, that's it.
And I used the reverse curse because we were cursed here as Red Sox fans. But, yes, the reverse jinx. And I get all that. Again, gentlemen, safe travels, Q. Enjoy the weekend out there. These are, times when your team gets to the big dance. It doesn't happen every year, but we expect it to. So when it does happen, embrace the show. Enjoy the show. Matt, you'll be there next year. We'll get Arkansas back there next year for you. So maybe we'll reverse jinx / curse this, and Q will be flying solo a year from now on Friday as Arkansas is in the big dance in Omaha. How's that sound?
Yep, we're going to go get Luke Holman from Alabama, and we're going to have 3 lefties. We're going to have Hagen Smith, Holman, and Holland all starting. There you go. There's my bold prediction.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports. Tune in Saturday, Sunday, hopefully Monday on Q's part. Maybe it's 2 and Q. He'll be there for the championship game And I want everyone to have a great, great weekend. It's here. Enjoy yourselves. And to 3 Men in a Box, we'll take a few weeks off, and then we'll be back with some football. So tune in and see you soon.